Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got an array of knives on here. Some are collectible, some aren't. I've started um, bringing these things back to life about a month ago, and I haven't touched them in a while. So I've already done the initial cleaning and sanding on these, and so we're down to the stage of putting back the mirror polish and putting the snap and pop back into these knives. If you'd like to see more of that, go ahead and check out the video. Hey, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi to all my viewers. Bonjour, privet, guten tag, hola, ciao, konnichiwa, and good day, mate, to my foreign viewers. Excuse me. So today I'm trying to catch up. I was cleaning up some knives. I started about a month ago, and then I just quit doing it. So I've already cleaned them up pretty much. I don't know what. There you go. Already cleaned them up pretty much, but we're in the polishing stage now. So I've done a 350 and 400 grit, and we're going to go to 600 and hit these with 600. At 600, they should start mirror polishing, shine right up. This shade right here, these are kind of scarce, pretty collectible. Um, if you collect shades, as far if you match this against the case, it's not very collectible. But anyhow, there's a few collectible ones here. One not so collectible. This is a frost. I've been wondering about this right here. This is a black dyed bone on here, and I was thinking I'd like to do something with it. I think I will. I think I'm going to re-dye this in black and make that a little better. Otherwise, I'm keeping it pretty much standard. These are a couple Schrades. They are florist knives, but they're Schrade Walden, and probably only valuable if you're that rare collector that collects just florist knives. But I collect Schrade knives, and I just want to have the patterns in my collection. Here's one that's a little different. This is 194 and or 182, and you can see the blades kind of messed up here. I don't really care because I'm collecting the pattern. The geometry on the blade's pretty good. The action on the knife is pretty good. You can see a little bit of rust in here, and that's coming from the the oil I've put down in there. And we'll continue cleaning that rust out of there. But this one right here, this is pretty collectible. So it's not a name brand, but this is a six-bladed SAK that dates back to 19 wouldn't be later than 1924. So the original SAKs had this on here. It's not a screwdriver. It was a tool to take down a Mauser rifle, and these stayed on the SAKs up to about 1924. So I believe this is probably earlier, but that's why these are so important, because this knife is recording the evolution of the SAK from the original Swiss Army knife, which looked nothing like this, to this multi-blade type of knife that we use nowadays. And these were the first reinventions of that knife on its way to what we have nowadays. So these are pretty collectible. It's old. I don't know how many people would want it. You can see there's some space right here. So I am going to work on that. And the way you do that, once I get done with this, you put some moisture on there. So it could be water or oil, whatever your preference is. You get some moisture on there, let it soak in, and then use a clamp and clamp it shut like that. And leave that clamp on there. It'll take quite a bit of time for that to work. So this is a Robeson that had kind of that same problem. On this knife, the one side has popped loose from the pin, and it was way up. It would the wood had a huge curve in it, and so it's down now to just a little tiny space. So this used to come way up here, and I just put a little moisture on there, and we've been bending it back down. And now when I go ahead, I'll just glue this. There's really no sense in taking this apart to pin it. It's just going to mess the bolsters up. And this is a collectible knife. It's an old Robeson. You can barely see it right there. It's a very early mark on this Robeson though. So I don't want to mess the knife up. So I'll just glue that. But I had to get it to a point to where I could, glue that down and have it not hurt the wood, break the wood. So that's the way you do it. You just put a little clamp on there, like so. And whoop. I'm not looking at this, so it's kind of hard when you don't look at it. Hold on. That thing was fighting me. So I just keep it clamped like that, and I had put moisture on there, and it'll bend back for you. It's not too hard at all. I just keep it sitting around like that. And anyhow, that's what we'll do to this. So we'll put a little moisture on there and get it bent back in. And once it's bent back in, then I'll put some adhesive in there and clamp it, and it'll be good as new. So anyhow, we'll get right to it. All right, so we're going to start with 600 grit sandpaper. You should get a low grade mirror polish with this 600. I've already cleaned up the metal with lower grits, 340 and 400, and this is my third pass. Now you can definitely do this quicker with with a sander, for instance, like a belt sander or a Dremel. It's really hard to clean this up with the Dremel and keep it looking good. What you get is kind of like a wave going through there you can't keep the Dremel steady. And so I just prefer to hand sand them, and that's what I'll be doing on this is hand sanding it. I like to work inside out, and so I pop all of these off. At this stage, a lot of times I'm not going to hit these areas anymore. A lot of times they're mirror polished on vintage knives, and you just don't have to go much further. But I'm going to go on this one. I am going to hit this tang was mirror polished before. You can tell it's kind of hard, but it's all flat there, and it was mirror polished before. So I'm going to hit it with 600. You can see on the liners there's some lines, and that's from a heavier grit. This knife was in terrible shape, and you could still see some of the black, like right there in this on these liners. You see it right there, and you can also see the little lines. So when they're that bad, I'll hit them with a heavier grit sandpaper, but it puts those lines in there. You got to keep sanding to get the lines out. So I'll hit these with 600 grit and quad aught stainless steel. After that, I won't need to hit them anymore. And I don't think I'm going to go any higher than 600 on these unless I change my mind. But you can still see a lot of gunk in there. I don't worry. I'm putting gunk in it when I sand, so I don't really worry about cleaning these joints until the end, and then I'll clean them. And then once I do all these all the areas on the inside here. Once I do all these areas on the inside and the tangs, I'll flip it over and I'll do these on the inside here and these blades. And then from there, I move on to actually doing the blades, doing work on the blades. And then after that, I do the back springs last on it. And then I go to the next higher grit. I'm also going to sand this. I don't usually sand wood, but pretty sure this is ebony, probably African blackwood, it looks like to me. And so I am going to sand it a little bit, try to get that ebony, that brown to come out. It's black from all that oil over the decades of use of this knife. And so we'll go ahead and get started on it. I meant to mention that you can see the size here of the sheets that I use. Sometimes I use the full sheets, but when I'm using the full sheets, I break them down into 3 sheets like this, and then I break those sheets down into 2, and then I fold over the sandpaper like this, and I use it like that. And then I'll save this. Here is an older piece right here. You can see the marks where I've used it. You turn it over, and I haven't used this side, so I'll start out using this right here. Here's another older piece, and I use these just to hit areas on other knives quickly, or like hitting an area here where I really don't want a heavy grit. This sandpaper's already been used, so I can hit this and not really tear up the wood too bad in it. And that's what I use these older pieces for. A lot of times I use it for the nasty stuff on there. And you can see what's coming off right there. Snap in. There you go. Snap in. You can see what's coming off on this wood. And so I really take my time on the wood. It's a balancing act. I don't want to have to restain it. And not that that's not a good idea. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I like to try to keep the original color. I don't want to, have to completely restain some wood and destroy the natural color that wood was. And so I just take it easy. I sand a little bit. I'll wipe it down. I'll see what the color is, how much damage I'm doing, and then I'll pull it back off. This is also really relaxing to do. So it's you and your knife, and you're just having a good time sanding it. So just wipe it off. Let's see what we got. You can see some of that brown coming out here. And that's what I want. I don't want to take it all the way down to the bare wood. I just want to get some of this old grunge and stuff off of it. So let's get started. So all I'm doing is taking one of these sheets, which will do most of the blades and stuff, and I fold it over to get it a little thinner. And then I'm going to get down in here in these on these tang areas right here, and just put it in like that. And I do it for about 20 counts. So I'm not trying to count the strokes. I just start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. And that's basically just so that I give all the areas the same attention, and I'm not putting too many strokes on one and not enough on the other. Another thing you can do is right in here, these little lips right there, you can put some downward pressure on your sandpaper like that, and put upward pressure to hit the other side. Because when you're doing these tangs, you don't always, get those, the corners of those liners. So I want to do that on both sides. And that's what you're left with. Let's clean that up real quick. Looks pretty good. Once I get that gunk out of there and clean that up, that's going to look pretty nice. You can see it shining already. And so I'm going to do everything else, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, get down in here. I'm just going to run that sandpaper down through there like that. It's really easy to do. Let it do the polishing for you. You don't really have to get down there and press hard. Yeah, move it over to the other side. You want to push this one side or the other to get the corner of that back spring down in there. You can see how it's just polished up. And then I'm going to hit these. Now what I do here, I take my little sister popsicle stick that I've modified. I just stick it in there to give me something to leverage to press down on. So when I stick it in there, I'm using a popsicle stick for leverage. And I just press down and go at it. And I'm sanding the liner right now. Try to knock down some of those bigger scratches in it. And when I'm done doing this, I'm going to flip it over and hit this liner here, the inside right here. Whoop. I'm going to hit this side of the liner right there. And then I'll do the other one. And then I'll take some steel wool and clean it. Alright, so it only took a couple minutes to do that. I'm going to take my steel wool here and I'm going to ball up a little bit, whatever seems appropriate to you. And I'm going to stick it down in there. First I'm going to hit these areas by the tang, and I'm not only hitting the tang, but right now I'm getting that little tiny bit of liner that's there, and divider, that area right there. And there's also a spacer in there. You see that spacer? So we'll hit that too. Get down in there. And this really kicks out all those scratches. The 600 has pretty much done away with most of the scratches, but this really is the coup d'etat. When you take this steel wool, you can see it looks pretty good down there. But when I take this steel wool, and I do it the same way for everything, I'm going to do it for about a 20 count. Try to hit all the areas that I can. Then I'm going to flip it over, get the inside of that liner. You can almost feel it, so it gets real slippery when and smooth. You know, like any polished surface. It's going to just start gliding across there once you've got it really cleaned up. This is the opposite side, so I'll do these tangs here. This really polishes the metal when you do this, and a lot of times you'll notice the difference in your blades shedding a lot smoother because they're running on a polished surface rather than those little grit lines and cut lines that you see in them that happen over time, you know, from things getting caught in there and then your knife just rolling through them. So I've already done this side. I'm going to do this side right here, clean it up. And you can see the difference. A lot cleaner in there. On those liners, they look fantastic. That's your, you remember what that looked like when we first started. So I'll stop right there. I'm not going to put any more. 600 is good enough for the back of the back spring. I think the tangs will be good, but we'll see. You know, I might do just the tang area with the 800 grit, but probably won't. So right now what I'm going to do is move to these areas and then we'll hit the blades. We'll see in a couple minutes here. All right, so I thought I'd show you how I attack a corkscrew. So I'm going around all of these exposed areas here and polishing those areas. You can see they look pretty good. And then you have this area here on the inside. And that is the beauty of sandpaper because it'll just go pretty much anywhere you want it to go. So I can stick it right down in there and I just polish it like that. Just give it, just work it to get the bottom inside of that polish where you normally wouldn't be able to get anything. And then on this flat area here, I'll change my direction. Come on. So I'll change my direction and just go like this and polish that area right there. Now, initially, when I'm cleaning up the corkscrew, you can take sandpaper and just roll it around like this, just like you were using a corkscrew, and that's going to get all of the outside of that and polish that corkscrew up. You want to be careful down here because you can see these are really fine, and so you don't want to mess those up. Then I take not fold it over, but just bend it over, and you can see how the paper gets the sandpaper gets round. And what I start doing is find the depth, and you can see that just goes right in there. And so then once I have that, I can start hitting this like that, and I just roll around the grooves on that like that. Just follow them, roll around them. And I'll do that all the way out to the end, and that's how you get the inside of the grooves. You can see this, like this was dark. This was black when I started. And so it's done a real good job cleaning up this corkscrew on here. But by the time I'm done, it'll be shining up pretty good. All right, so we finished off these areas right here on the inside of the channels. Now I'm going to hit this area right here. Get my little tooth dinky. This is the top square of the tang. We'll just put our sandpaper down in there and clean her up all in here. Take it on the outside and clean it up, that brass on the outside. Of course, you got to do it for both ends. Same here, and that's what we're going to do. And then I've already done one side of this side right here, sanding it, and then I'm going to sand this a little bit more right here. And then we'll be doing these back springs right here, and then it'll be ready for 800 grit. And at 800 you'll have a mirror polish on these blades and this thing. All right, we're done with these top squares. One thing I wanted to point out to you is as you look at the top square of this tang, there you go, you'll see it's like from far away you can see it's polished, right? So now it's got a high polish on it, but you'll see the serrations on the top square right there. So you're not going to do away with that. It's not going to mirror polish these top squares because they never were, and it's a case hardened steel, so you're not going to wear that down. You could with enough effort, but that's not the purpose. And I just wanted to point that out to you, that you can see the serrations on the blade where they punch the blade out. So, on a really on a well-made knife like a Robeson or Remington's, these are going to be mirror polished. And when you're done, it'll look mirror polished. But when we're done with this, this is only going to look highly polished because you're just not going to get these deep cuts in the metal out of there, and that's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm just cleaning it up. I'm not trying to mirror polish something that was never mirror polished. And so I wanted to point out to you, let's see, we're going to start on these blades now. When I start on the blades, I'll do this area right here. And same thing, I'm going to be taking the sandpaper and I'm going to be hitting these areas like that to polish them up. I'll do both sides of the tang, and then I'll do the blade, both sides of the blade and the top of the blade. And the thing I wanted to point out is you can see the tang stamp there. So this again is hardened and tempered steel. You're not going to wear by sanding this. So I've already sanded this twice, right? Once with 350, once with 400. Now I'm going to do 600, and you can see the tang stamp still there. It's pressed, stamped in after forging, and so you're not going to do away with it. The only time I'd worry about it is if you had a really, really light tang stamp, and your tang was already so worn down that it is possible you could do away with it. So when you have a nicely stamped blade like this, you don't have to worry about it. I'll get on there, do this, and I'll take it all the way up to 800, maybe 1,000, like that, and you're not going to do away with your tang stamp. All right, so we'll get at it and show you what's up afterwards. All right, guys, we finished this up. You can see some of the brown there in the ebony coming through. That's exactly what I was looking for. And she looks like almost brand new. This ebony, the light, let me see if I could get a little less light on it. Yeah, so without that glare, this is what it more looks like to your eye, not the camera. But it's just smooth, beautiful ebony, and it almost looks like a synthetic. And that's the beauty of ebony. The grain is so tight on it, you can just get it polished to real high polish. And you see that there. But yeah, she looks good, I'd say. What do you think? I went with 800 grit and stopped there. And all I have to do now is I'll go back and hit the edges, straighten the edges out. And as I mentioned before, I want to straighten this out right here, and I'll work on doing that. And that's how she looked coming out. Let me just leave them open. That's your takedown tool. Came out pretty good. Let's see. Your main blade. Look at the polish on that main blade. When it's polished that high, you really don't even notice the scratches in it. Look at that mirror polish. See how you could read those numbers on there? That's what a mirror polish is. I mean, you can see those numbers without it being out of focus. That's a good mirror polish. Which, I mean, it's still an old knife. You've got, rust spots and stuff like that, but looks pretty good for 120-year-old knife, huh? Yep. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. And we'll see you in the next video. And I'm going to work on getting this fixed and putting some edges on these blades, which are sharp, but I want a consistent edge on them. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.